Thank you so much for coming in, Kamogelo, also known as Kamo, to your friends, and Olga. Now, Kamo, I know this is all about you, but forgive me to start with your mother.
Oh, no problem.
Who I feel probably had a very important role to play in getting your career so far. Olga, you are a professional violinist. You became a teacher. Tell us where your story started with the violin.
I didn't know what a violin is at the age of 9. And then a friend of mine used to play violin, same street, and he said I must just walk him to the music center. So I walked in there and I fell in love with the cello first. But the teacher said, you are too small, too tiny, short fingers, you will not play cello. We've got a small cello for you, we'll give you a violin. And I said, it's fine, as long as it's music. And then that's when I started, and I loved it, and my mother was not understanding why am I practicing every day for 8 hours.
And they never had to force you to do your scales and to practice every day?
No.
Well, then you were made for it. Now, this is where your son then comes in, some 18, was it 17 years ago? You're 18 now.
Yes, I am.
Well, happy birthday. 18 years ago, your son comes in. And many of us of our generation, Olga, would say, I mean, as journalists, young people come and talk to us, we're like, oh, whatever you do, don't become a journalist. Or teachers will say, whatever you do, don't become a teacher, you know. And I've often heard musicians say, listen, I'm doing this for the love of it, not for the paycheck. Don't become a musician, especially a classical musician, which many people will tell you is a dying art. What went through your mind then when you realized that your little boy had a growing love for classical music?
He actually didn't.
Okay.
I had to force him to practice every day, and I think he was in grade 9. That's when he realized he actually now wants to be a musician. He started falling in love with it, practiced without being told to practice, and then I thought, that's it. He wants to be a musician, I'm just going to let it be. But he has to do something else besides music as well. So he chose he wants to do computers. I said, okay, well, you do that.
Now, Kamo, this is your turn to stick up for yourself. Your mother said she had to force you at first. I mean, I know that myself. I played the piano and had to do the scales. I didn't make it my career, thankfully. How did that forcing to practice, doing the scales, or arpeggios, look at me flex, how did that transfer from doing it because my mom said so to this is what I want to do with my life?
So in 2015, I went to an art school. So when I went to grade 9, I started realizing, I actually love doing this. And so I decided I'll do music as a career, and I'll study something else later, which computer science was the choice. So when I started, she started forcing me, and I played the violin, and
And then you decided the violin is not it? I'm going to take on the cello, which for me is one of the most hauntingly beautiful instruments. The sound it makes is something that will take you to deep, dark and lovely places all at the same time. Why the cello?
Well, so I hated the violin, and she said I should choose something else. So I chose the big violin, because her friend from the same street played the cello as well. So I said, I want to play that as well. So she found some lessons for me, and I started. And from there on, I continued, and here I am today as well. I've
always looked up to string players, because I always thought playing the piano, you can actually see the notes. But with strings, you can't. You have to feel it. Your ear needs to be perfect. It's difficult, isn't it?
Yes, it is, actually. It takes a while to get used to it, but as you keep on practicing, you sort of get used to it. It becomes second nature.
And how do you put together your love of computers and classical music?
Well, I'm forever on my phone and computers, so it just goes together. I research about practice and the instrument, and so I love the computer, I love the cello, and it just bonds well together.
And now, how difficult is it as a teenager in the year 2020, when your friends are saying, let's go out, but you have to practice, or let's go listen to this kind of music? Is it difficult still to explain to people that this is your love, it's classical music, or is it a bit easier these days? If you see people like Alicia Keys playing the piano, Lizzo who plays the flute, how do you navigate the big teen world while playing an instrument that comes from centuries ago?
Oh, most of my friends are classical musicians as well. So we all sit together and we understand that we listen to different genres of music. We listen to classical music, and it's a bond we have together. So it doesn't matter that much to me, because my friends and I are in the same group. So,
but at the same time, pop music, hip-hop, all of that wouldn't exist if it wasn't for classical music, right?
Yeah. So there we have it.
Olga, if I could bring you here in. The Morris Isaacson Centre for Music has played a very important part, not just in your life, but also Kamo's.
Yep.
You teach there. I've seen them do amazing work at the centre in Soweto. Tell us about the work that they do there and how important it is to the community there.
I think at this moment, on that area, it was the first thing, because we had a school music in Meadowlands. So in Mufulo and Jabavu, it was not that popular. But the centre then started bringing kids together. And then now we've got a variety of instruments which kids love. And they make music without the teachers. They make their own songs, their own pieces. They play without us. We hear them. We can't say anything because they sing. Then this one will play a djembe, that one will come with a bass, and this one will come with a flute, and they just mishmash things. And it's so nice to see as a teacher.
And it must have become almost an oasis for the community,
yes,
that they can come there and hear the music and have their kids learn it as
yes,
well.
And when there's concerts for kids to perform, we always say it's free entrance. And we always have full audience.
Now, it's at the Morris Isaacson Centre for Music where Kamo then started his journey that's led him up to this point where he's got this, this fantastic opportunity for a scholarship at the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire. What was that like, taking that step up and then starting to interact with some of the best classical musicians in the world? You've gotten to travel to England quite a few times. What's that been like, and what has it done for your craft?
It's been an amazing experience, learning from a lot of different people and different cultures. So the Morris Isaacson Centre for Music introduced me to a lot of different peers, but that done the same thing as me. So it was sort of uplifting for me to learn along with other people. So it helped me develop as a musician, but not only as a musician, as a person as well, learning to communicate with other musicians and do all other things creatively.
Now, Olga, he's got a great opportunity that's right on his doorstep, but it's going to take a lot of work to get him there. And it's part of the reason why I invited you to come to and speak to us, because in as much as the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire is giving him a scholarship, there's funds that's still needed for him to be able to live there. And we all know what the pound is worth. Tell us what's needed and where people can go if they want to get involved.
He got a £12,000 scholarship for 4 years. That's going to cover all his academics and everything else. He needs living costs and spending money and all of that. That's 10,000 rand still missing. Yes. He's got a crowdfund on Facebook, on my page, and on his page, and on the Birmingham Conservatoire, and on Louise Lansdowne, which is the head of strings there. And then we've got Alistair as well helping us with that. And he's also doing a couple of performances, couple of gigs here and there. So we're trying in different ways to catch up with the £10,000, which we're hoping by May it should be all there.
Well, fingers crossed somebody's got £10,000 lying around while they're having coffee. The website, I think, is Just Giving, right? So if you go into Just Giving and you type in Maraba, I'm sure his name will come up and people can get involved. We can only wish you everything of the best. You're not going to leave us just yet, because when we come back, we will ask Kamogelo Maraba to play us out. So you can get an idea of just why this young man is being invited to one of the top places in the world to study classical music and indeed the cello. So do stay with us for that.